phase of training, you'll be making some solo trips out to the practice area, and you'll also begin to do some cross countries. This short presentation will show you how to properly set up the Garmin 430 from here on in. You already know how to check the currency of the databases, and don't worry that the simulator is out of date. All the aircraft at Western are kept current for IFR. Go ahead and hit the enter key there. And your flight instructor should have shown you how to properly verify the self-test. Once that's done, hit enter. The GPS satellites that are in view will be shown, and then automatically, once we have 3D navigation, it'll move us to the map page. Now normally we would start out by hitting the direct to key. Don't do that, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But from here, we're going to go ahead and enter frequencies. Notice that we currently don't have any familiar frequencies in COM1. So to get started, what we want to do is go to, in our airplanes, nav page 4. There's the nav chapter. We're on page 1. In the airplanes, it's page 4, but in the simulator, it's page 3. And we're in the departure phase right now, so it's going to show us our local airport that we're at, Battle Creek. And to select frequencies, all we're going to do is use the right button to turn the cursor on, and then we always scroll the cursor with the big knob, and we can move down through any of the frequencies. I'll show you really quick. Right next to the ATIS, there's a little RX, meaning we're currently receiving that signal. But since this is COM1, we're going to scroll down here to the tower frequency, 126.825, and if we hit the enter button, that'll put it into the standby position. And all we have to do is hit the flip-flop switch, and it's now active. This will work for any frequencies that are stored in the database. Towers, approach, departure, air route traffic control center, flight service, all of those. What it won't work for is Battle Creek Dispatch and the local practice area. So we would have to dial in those ourselves, and we would do that with the left knob. So 123.5 is dispatch, and we could cycle that up and down all we wanted with the flip-flop key. To get out of this page, we turn the cursor off, hit that button, and then scroll back to the left, and we're in our normal nav page 1. Now the next thing that we want to do is instead of using the direct to key, that's what you've been using most times, and it's actually fine for the traffic pattern, that sort of thing, but both Garmin and Cirrus recommend that we use a flight plan, and we have a dedicated chapter for that. We can find it just by hitting the flight plan button. This is really easy to do. Because we didn't hit the direct to button, it shows us at Battle Creek, that's our first waypoint. It assumes we want to build a flight plan and depart from the Battle Creek Airport. We'll turn the cursor on, that goes to the first open area, and we'll dial in waypoints for that. We're going to do a little flight down to Coldwater, Michigan, do some landings down there, and let's see, we'll assume that the active runway here at Battle Creek is runway 5, so the north and the east gate would be active, and we'll go ahead and come back to the east gate and then back into Battle Creek. So to dial in Coldwater, Oscar Echo Bravo, remember you can dial forward and backwards in this database. Once you have it in there, there's Branch County Memorial, Coldwater, Michigan. Hit enter. And what happens is becomes the next waypoint in our flight plan. And it's the active leg, Battle Creek to Coldwater, that's shown by this magenta line. To get to Coldwater, we'll go 164 degrees for 24.1 nautical miles. That makes sense. And we'll arrive there. Let's go ahead and add in the east gate. There it is. Enter. It becomes part of the flight plan. Bearing and distance from Coldwater. and then back to Battle Creek. Kellogg, Battle Creek, Michigan. And that's all there is to it. Once we have a flight plan set, hit the button, and we're right back to our nav page 1. This will show us our current position and our current leg, Battle Creek to Coldwater, 24.1 miles on a desired track of 164 degrees. Let's see what it looks like on the map. And there we are in the Battle Creek class Delta airspace. The magenta line is the active leg down to Coldwater. And then it has a white leg up here. That will be the next leg to the East Gate, and then a leg back into Battle Creek. Now I'm going to go ahead and move us along in a flight path on the way to Coldwater, and I'll show you what else can happen because we've entered a flight plan. Alright, we've started underway to Coldwater. We're actually only about 12 miles out from Coldwater. Show you where we are on the map. On the way down there, past the South Gate already. And one of the best things about loading up a flight plan is that it will recognize when you've left your departure airport and when you're about to enter the next airport along your flight plan. And we can now scroll over to what would be nav page 4 in our airplanes and look at the en route phase. Coldwater Airport is already selected for frequencies. Again, we can turn on the cursor and then we can scroll down. We could get the ATIS information. We're already receiving it. Hit the enter key. It goes into the standby. Flip it up into the active. And then we'll go ahead and scroll down to the Unicom frequency, hit enter, and it's in the standby. So frequencies are already ready for us. We don't have to have those written down or stored anywhere. Turn the cursor off and scroll back all the way to the left. Makes it much easier. Only 10 miles out from Coldwater, we're making some calls, that sort of thing. But let's change it up just a little bit. I want to show you how easy it is to amend a flight plan. Flight instructor said you really did good at this point. Let's go ahead and do a cross country. We'll go over to South Bend, Indiana, and then back to Battle Creek. So we'll hit the flight plan page, and we'll turn the cursor on. Scroll down. We want to go from Coldwater to South Bend, Indiana. So we're going to insert a waypoint above the East Gate. Make the East Gate active and then scroll in. South Bend, Indiana, SBN. South Bend Regional Airport. Enter. And it's now part of our flight plan. As a matter of fact, after we pass Coldwater, your flight instructor says to you, well, I am really thirsty. I've got to get a drink. So let's divert to the closest airport that we can find. And this is where we're going to use that direct to key. So go ahead and hit it. And South Bend is currently what's listed in there, but we can move the cursor off of South Bend all the way down here to what's called the nearest section. And right now the nearest airport is IRS. And we could scroll through and actually find the 9 nearest airports to us. But we'll take that nearest airport. Enter and activate it. And you get a little bit more use out of this piece of equipment. The automation does make your life a lot easier. Practice it on the lab computers or download it for yourself from Garmin, free of charge. Have a good day.